Okay, so this is a real-time student support video where they've asked me to help fix some geometry on their tank. So this video is not supposed to be entertaining in any way. This is just me giving support to a student, and if they are the only one that watches this video, then that's great. But this may be useful for some people that might want to see how I approach a very broken model and use different tools in Maya to repair it and give it some life for use in a game engine or in renders. So when I'm teaching my students, one of the first things I teach that's really important is that they need to bevel everything before they can render it or even put it into a game engine. So because the bevels create all the highlights that your brain expects to see on objects, and without it, it can just look really fake and rubbish. So this should be quite an easy vehicle to bevel because it's all kind of made out of these sort of stealth triangle plating shapes and stuff like that. So I'm going to go around and just try and fix up some geometry, find out really will it bevel, and just give a few tips on making it look slightly more badass at the front as well. So this is not scripted in any way. You're going to see lots of bumbling efforts to try and get things working, but at least you can see some of the buttons that I press in this. I'm using my 2019 for this. I'm using my own custom shelf, which I'll have a link for in the video below as well. So let's find some simple geometry to see if it will bevel. And so I've got my bevel button on my shelf, but you can obviously do Control B. And obviously I'm expecting this to happen. I do Control B and it should just bevel straight away, like this thing there. That's great. And so if I want to bevel multiple objects, I can hold Shift, select more than one, combine, and then do Control B for bevel. I have my highlights. I've highlighted my shortcuts up here. If you can't see what I've done, just look up here to see what button I've pressed on my keyboard. Okay, so far so good. This plate here, if I do Control B, it's worked. Right, okay. So it looks like it's worked, but if you look down here, the bevel just sort of gradually fades into the distance and you've got some horrible stuff. So I'm going to isolate this piece of geometry. This is my first red alert sound here, and it's gone crazy. So if I hit Control Z for undo, before I hit the bevel, it's kind of happy. It's not. And when I hit bevel, all of its sins are revealed. So I'm going to hit isolate select up here. If you see me select something without pressing this button, I'm just doing Control 1 on the keyboard to work quicker. So there's a face at the bottom that goes around a corner, but it's missing all of its edge loops. So there's no edge loop there, and somehow the face goes through this edge loop. Okay, this is crazy. So let me just fix this. This is wild. So I would try and fix this. I'll go to my multi-cut tool. I'm going to try and rebuild some of these edges like this. So that should be going down there. And this face at the front is this sort of Superman shape symbol thing. I need to break this up into quads because it's got more than 4 sides. So I'm just clicking my way across here. I can already see that this probably isn't going to work. Let's go ahead and try and go to object mode and bevel that. Control B. What's going on over here? So this is madness. So this isn't. It's gone inside out on this. Oh my life. Okay. So I don't think I can fix this. It's such a simple shape, and I'm having so much trouble with it. So you can see that it's a really good student. I'm not dissing my student ever. It's genuinely really good tank model that they've made. But you can see there's some inside-out geometry in here, which is ghastly, and it's all kinds of broken. So yeah, look at that. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to try and I'm going to unisolate this. I'm going to see if I can just build my own one. So if I click on the big fat face in the front, and I'm just going to do face mode, shift select all the other faces and hit delete. So I'm just left this one face here, and maybe I can just re-extrude some edges back. So double click, hit extrude by holding shift, and then just plonk that back in. I kind of just chose a face to keep and deleted the rest of it and re-extruded it back. It's easier that way. And I'm going to try and join this back up so that this face has 4 sides at the top. I've got a triangle here. It should be all right. Okay, I did 3 there just as sometimes when you hit 3, if it goes absolutely bananas, then you know it's still really bad. Can I bevel the whole object? Yes, I can. Easy fix. So you saw how I fixed that by just choosing a face I liked and putting it back. I can't bother to do that again. I'm going to flip it over. So I'm going to do Control D and just do R for resize and just flip this through like that. Now, when you flip geometry, there's another problem. If it doesn't flip when you hold J to the exact size as the other one, then you need to freeze transformations. So I'm going to do this geometry, try that again. I'm going to do FT, freeze transformations, and do Control D, put it over there. After resize again, now frozen transformations, perfect. Pop that back in. I'm just doing it by eye because there's no time to explain. Okay, great. Let's go to the roof area at the top. This is probably the main bit of geometry the student was struggling with. And if I isolate select, you can see why. This face is 4 sides. This face is 4 sides. This one has 263 sides. And you can't have any more than 4. Or when you try and smooth it or do level of detail, horrible things happen like this. So let's retopologize. First of all, I've got a bunch of edge loops I don't need here. I'm going to try going to mesh reduce. I'm added that to my shelf. That's my reduce button now. And that worked quite well. I'm happy with that. So before I do retopologize, I always try and reduce just so Maya doesn't get too confused. And making sure that didn't ruin anything. It didn't. That's great. I'm going to turn off my lines. And you can see that there... And if I turn off my occlusion, you can see that there's no hard edges at the bottom here. When you do retopologizing, if you don't know what retopologizing means, check out my videos in the description below for retopologizing. But you can see it needs hard edges. So I'm going to go to edge mode, double click, and I've got hardened edge, softened edge on my shelf, which is mesh display, harden, soften. You can do both if you want. But yeah, so go on there and do harden edges, double click, G, repeat command, and harden all the edges that should be hardened. And that's looking pretty good. So I'm now ready to do a retopologize command on this. I might just go to edge mode, shift right click, delete edge. Always do shift right click to delete edges. And let's do remesh and retopologize real quick. I'm in 2019. These aren't real buttons yet, but I've added them onto my shelf by going into my code down here. Sorry, my script editor. I'm going to hit the new tab button and choose mel script. And I'm going to type in poly remesh. It goes blue because it's a valid command. And then I'm going to select it and do file, save script to shelf, give it a name. I'm going to call it remesh. Hit OK. I've already got it, so I'm not. I'm going to do another one. Put mel script again. I'm going to call this one poly retopo. Goes blue. It's valid. Select it, file, save script to shelf, and I was going to call it retopo. You'd hit OK. I'm going to hit cancel. There they are. Great, done. So let's do remesh. Let's see what happens. Okay, do remesh. I have a little investigate. You can see there's a few areas that have collapsed in on themselves, like landslides. So I'm going to go to my attribute editor to find a tab that says poly remesh. There it is. And I'm going to adjust the reduce threshold to the left from 20 down to about 10. And you can see everything sort of rebuild itself. You could also do refine threshold, but that seems to make really horrible cobwebs. I'm going to leave that back at 1. I'm just going to do reduce threshold for the main stuff in this. Don't make it too detailed or the next stage will collapse. So as long as the geometry looks good, keep this number as far to the right as possible. Obviously, if you do it too much, your geometry just becomes too simple. So I'm going to do about there, like that. Okay, good. And everything looks fine. I'm now going to do my retopologize command. This will take a long time on slower computers. Okay, didn't work. Undo, undo. Why didn't that work? All right, so we've got a problem here. The retopologize function didn't work. I'm going to undo to before I've done that and try and figure out what's going on. First of all, I'm going to remove... There might be something really wrong with our geometry. I'm going to remove any faces underneath that we'll never see. Delete. Let's see if that fixed it. Maybe there's something wrong with something on those faces at the bottom. Let's try that again. Even though this should fix that anyway. So remesh. Fix my problems. Actually, sorry. Before I do that, I'm also going to do delete history. So before I do remesh, I'm going to do delete history, freeze transformations, and one more time. Remesh. Poly remesh 1. I think we had this number set to 10, and that's better. Let's do retopologize. Aha, that worked. So I know there that either something on the bottom or some history or transformations was mucking it up, and now it's fine. Let me have a little look around and check that all the topology is good. There seems to be something missing from at the front here. If I go to my tab that says retopo 1, I'm going to adjust. You can see some of these commands actually do crash Maya. I think I've crashed Maya now. Yeah, now if you're doing retopologizing and such, you do need to have autosave turned on. Okay, so I did lose all my progress there, but I'll carry on. So I'm back to this stage now, where I've just done. I would have, if this video didn't crash, I would imagine I just hit undo to undo the retopologize command, and I'm now back at the remesh stage. So here, there was a little bit of stuff that the student, like a little blobby bit that the student had extruded out. By reducing my poly remesh threshold down to 10, it removed that. So if I reduce it further from below, you can see it comes back. So it seems to be at about this point here. That's enough detail for it to allow this to exist, and everything else also exists. So just that, it was a little detail I missed. And now I'm going to go ahead and hit retopologize. Okay, so just undid that and redid it again. It seems to be a little bit glitchy, but what I've done, so I delete history and then I did the remesh, and I haven't deleted history again. And so remesh is still there. And now when I hit retopologize with my reduced threshold set to 6 on poly remesh, and I hit retopologize, it does work and it's better. But you can still see things are smoothed out that shouldn't be. So if I go to in my attribute editor, my poly retopo tab here, you could have a little play around with some of these values, but it doesn't seem to really help. So I'm going to say that because most of the geometry is represented okay here, I'm just going to go and accept that this is my life now. And after you've retopologized, you have to delete history. If you're kind of happy, hit the delete history. And I'm now going to go in and try and salvage some of this back. So I'm going to reduce my poly count on this, which reduces a lot of those horizontal lines. So while the topology on this geometry is way better than it was before, there's a few little issues that I've got to fix. So I can see this edge here goes from that corner, but then goes down to the bottom. So I just need to do shift right click delete edge. Oh, maybe not. Before I do that, I'm going to build in my new edges with my multi-cut tool and just join those up like that. And once I've done that, I can go back to edge mode, shift right click, delete that edge, and that's better now. And I'll bring this edge in at the front like that. And if I deselect it, turn off my wireframe, I'm going to use Maya's auto soften harden edges command, which is in mesh display, soften / harden edges, and that's looking better now. At the back, we've got some asymmetry going on here. When you use retopologize, it doesn't do symmetry on the new faces it makes, which is kind of annoying. Maybe that'll come out in Maya 2025, but I'll put this over to there. R for resize to straighten out the edges, and it looks at least slightly symmetrical. I have no idea what's going on here. I don't really like that, and it's getting a bit annoying now, but this, I don't really like what's going on here. That's not correct. I could delete half my geometry and remirror it, but you can't just select a clean half of this due to that. So if I just try and fix this manually, I'd go to edge modes and shift click from there to there. There's nothing underneath. Shift right click, delete edge. I've now got some issues here where this face is trying to do way too much. So let me get my multi-cut tool, put in a triangle in there, and get my vertex up there. And I don't want this to be a triangle because I don't like them that much. I'm going to shift right click, delete edge, and now just create a new loop that swings right to the bottom like that. And I need to just harden this edge section here with harden edge. And these faces down here should be flat. R for resize, flatten them out. And that's better. And there's quite a few edges here that actually have all gone really skew if, so flatten those out as well. That's a triangle. I don't like triangle. Shift right click, delete edge. Let's continue this one's journey over to the front and through the middle. The asymmetry in this is actually really freaking me out, so I'm going to try and sort that out by shift double clicking along here. Okay, maybe not. Let's do shift double clicking along there. Okay, that's better. And I'm going to delete that bunch, and I'm going to separate my geometry by going to separate. I'm going to keep this one here as a guide, and this geometry I'm going to go to edge mode from here through to there. So it looks like after you do retopologize, you have to sort out some of this. I'm just straighten that out, making sure that I do not intersect these guys in the middle. And I can just straighten these guys out from there to there after resize, and maybe just shift those down a bit, in fact a bit further. So same with these ones, from there to there, resize, and just move these loops out of the way. I can tidy them up later. Cool. So I know this seems really boring and pointless, but retopologizing is a task that you'll be required to do in the industry as a beginner because it's so boring. Other people don't want to do it, and they give it to the new people to see if you can handle being in the industry. There we go. So now I've moved those edges out of the way enough so that I can then get my middle edge here and put it back closer towards the middle. That's all I was trying to do this whole time. And just get the edges from here closer. And once in the middle, I can re-mirror this geometry over and make sure that everything's exactly the same size as it was before, so the student would never notice. I don't actually give him my students the files back. They have to follow my tutorial. I make them suffer, but they will also learn. And so I'm going to do mirror this, which is mesh, mirror, options box. And I'm going to do, look at my compass, it's X plus, and bounding box is set, hit mirror. Great, it's kind of joined up in horrible ways in the middle. And so to remove that, just hold down Control on the keyboard and drag merge threshold very carefully, but back until it sorts itself out. And the geometry looks fine. So mirroring only works really well on geometry where you've flattened the middle edge. You can see here, as it's mirrored, it's not the exact size as it was before. This is the original geometry. This one's not quite as far across. So I'm going to go to vertex mode, might spacebar to the top view for this, and try and select half of it. Yeah, that'll do. And W for move, and just kind of put it back to roughly where the student had it. That looks better. I can now just maybe move this down a tiny bit, delete the old geometry. And now this geometry is fixed. Almost. Let me just get rid of some of these extra loops by going to my reduce button on my shelf here. Okay, it looks like it removed a bit too much. I'm going to reduce the strength of reduce down to about 30, maybe even 20. And that should do. If there's any extra edges, you can remove these as well. I'm actually going to bring up my poly count here, which is, I've put on my shelf, but it's display, heads up display, poly count, and that's up here. So at the moment, our faces are 844. And let's see how, oh no. Okay, this loop didn't seem to connect all the way through, which means the mirror command hasn't completely worked. So I'm going to go to merge really quick and just merge my vertices, which is mesh merge. And that should now merge any vertices in the middle because the distance threshold is set to very, very small. Now we go to edge mode. Yeah, that works. So now it is properly joined together. Oh, I forgot. We've mirrored something. We need to delete history. Otherwise, it will corrupt the geometry. Great. Let me delete these extra edges. You need to keep most of these because it's a circle. So anything that's to do with a circle, ignore it. Don't touch the circles. Shift right click, delete edge. Anything you do here will create some horrible problems. All these edges are probably to do... Oh, that's nasty there. I was going to go to face mode. Any wonky faces like this, just shift, double click your way along, after resize, flatten them out. And this edge looks really nasty. It doesn't have any effect though doing that. If you're going to sell this geometry on Turbo Squid, you'd really want to go in here and really make it look presentable. But I certainly wouldn't give you any extra marks for doing so. And that will do. Let's use our select hard edges script to select all the edges we'd like to bevel, which is the... I'll put my script over here. So select hard edges. This script is in the link below. Oh, need to click on the geometry, try that again. There we go. And it selected all of the hard edges, which you can tell by using that button there. And I'm going to go to bevel, see if it bevels. And it did. It beveled straight away without any overdrive of the value. That worked really well. So this is perfect geometry. If it bevels, it's the biggest compliment that you can get on your geometry. I'm going to use my multi-cut tool and just fix a few of these faces because that's got more than 4 sides, and it may kick up issues with game engines and level of detail and smoothing I think that's the only place that appears that's good. I'm going to unisolate that. That geometry is done. I'm going to save that and move on. I guess the student hasn't quite finished whatever this spherical thing is here, because these pipes just sort of end. I'll let the student fix that. Let's focus on what looks like some kind of gun mount or something here. Flamethrower, I guess, by the pipe at the back. So I'm going to select this and go to my select hard edges script and give that a bevel. That works. It's a happy geometry. Same with this one. Select hard. Oh, I might actually middle click that back to my bevel button. I think that's why I put it there. Select that one again and bevel. Oh, this geometry didn't bevel, which means it's not happy. Instead of trying to fix it and wasting my life, I'm just going to duplicate the one that did work over to it. The pivot needs to be centered. Pop that over to kind of there. Delete the old one and put that back in there. Great. So I'm just going to go around and try bevel everything, set the fraction to really small. Okay, so if I double click on my bevel tool, I'm going to set the default amount to just 0.2, or maybe even 0.2 should be good. And let me just test that on here. So go back to here. Whoop, 0.2 bevel. Looks like the student's got double geometry, triple geometry going on for no reason there. Has that happened? That's not. So let me try that again. Yes, now the bevel, I changed the value to be 0.2 by default because that's much better. And once you've done that, you can just go along to all the other geometry and just hit G for a repeat command, and it will bevel. And I can now just do G. If you want to do it really quickly, Shift, select multiple shapes that are similar and just do combine, then bevel them all at the same time. You're done. Hopefully the students remove the faces from the back to keep the poly count low. Nope, they're still there. Can't be bothered. But I would definitely remove things like that. Next, let's focus on some of these plating bits on the side. So this isn't happy. It's kind of triangles and all pinched in the middle. It won't create nice highlights. So I'm going to select this geometry like this. And okay, so there is some kind of bevel going on around it, which I respect, but let's remove these ones in the front. So I'm going to go to face mode, hold on, tab, delete these guys, go to edge mode, click from there to there and bridge, and from there to there, and G, repeat command, bridge. That looks a lot better. This is the back. I'm just not going to ignore it. It's the back. What we've got over here. So there's some horrible pinching going on. You can just about see there. Let's fix that. Isolate, select. Hold down tab and delete. And let's try and sort this out. So first of all, I would always recommend not extruding a face in directly next to geometry like this. I would always try and leave a gap like you've got on this side. It looks like it's a little bit too late for that now, so I'll leave it. I suppose I could just hold tab, select these guys, W for move, extrude them in. That's better now. It stops flickering from happening if you ever do see that exposed. Let's go to, I'm going to have to do the same on the back that I do to the front. So that's freakish. Okay, let's just bridge that back up. All right, let's try and solve this geometry here. So I'm going to get this edge here. It needs to connect to a small edge on the right. So I'm going to get my multi-cut tool and just drag and slice a new edge through everything. Go to edge mode and just pop one in there. Whoops, bridge. And from this large face here, I need to connect this to this large face there, and this small face to this large face. Oh, actually, I'm going to undo that. I want another little loop in here for that big one. From there to there, bridge. From there to there, bridge. From there to there, bridge. Everything's connected. I don't know what's happened with these. And bridge that up as well. Cool. In fact, it's going to be a lot less time if I just do hold down control and throw in an edge loop in the middle click. and just mirror this geometry because I can't be bothered to rebuild the back in the same way. So select all that. It's not exactly flat, so I'm gonna go to edge mode, and I have to flatten it out for this to work. So if I just do that, you might be a bit weirdly shaped, but at least when I do mesh, mirror, options box, X, plus mirror, and if I go to face mode, double click, the whole thing is one object. Great. Delete history. And if I then want to just maybe drag these guys in or something, you can. Sweet. And then that's a happy geometry now. So you get the idea. I should just be able to do this last one quite quickly. One leap, so that one's going to go to that one. This one's going to go to that one. Everything's going to be happy. So you, whoops, you to you. Okay, that one to that one. Bridge. There we go. Done. And unisolate that one. Next. Whoa, okay, this geometry at the back here has a lot more than the four sides, so let's see if I can retopologize this, remesh that, go to your remesh, drag reduce threshold down. No, it looks like it's done a good job at the default amount. Let's go to retopologize. Okay, so you can see not enough, there's not enough detail here for what we need. How do I fix this? So undo that. Okay, so I think the easiest way to fix this then is if I delete this big face at the front and left face there, and if I select all this arch of faces like this and go to mesh smooth. Okay. I just made this up, but that's really good to know. So if you go to your mesh smooth options box, change the add divisions to linearly and then hit smooth, it then creates a nicer shape around like that. Okay, it looks like I need to detach this to make this work. So I'm going to go to set this mesh. I'm going to do mesh extract. And I'm going to do that smooth thing again. So mesh smooth, check that it's linearly, hit smooth. That's better. I'm going to go to delete the middle edge. I don't need that. And just get these vertices at the bottom that went weird. Stretch them out. And in fact, I'm going to delete these faces entirely so that I can combine these back together. And simply bridge these back like that. Okay, so we now need to double click to select these faces here, and obviously we can't just bridge it, we're gonna have to do a fill hole. So I'm gonna do mesh fill hole, and that worked quite nicely. And then we can try and retopologize this now to make it happy. So let's do delete history just to be safe. Remesh. Does it still look smooth? Retopologize. Okay, sometimes things go green in Maya. It means that Maya kind of almost crashed, but didn't. I'm going to right click assigning system. Oh my life. What's a student added here? Just put Lambert 1 on it. If you ever have too many shaders like that, you can just go to your hyper shader up here and do edit, delete unused nodes. And it should remove anything that's not been used. Wow, okay, all of these are being used. This might be one of the students that never assigns an existing material, but rather assigns a new material for every object. I don't know, but that's their business. And next, let's reduce some of these edges. I'm going to go to reduce. Nice. Okay, we've got some errors here. So if I go to my retopologize bit, you might just drag the anisotropy filter to the left, and sometimes it solves some issues, which it kind of did. I'm now going to just really quickly, before it crashes, delete history on that, and I'll fix the rest myself. So let's try that again. Before I reduce any edges, I'm going to go to just kind of straighten that one out and harden these edges. I should be able to harden them all. Okay, there we go. And then same over here. So retopologize isn't perfect, but it is super helpful for lots of things. There we go. Oh my life. Okay, this isn't good. Oh, okay, it's dipping in a bit. So if we go to edge mode, select these two and just sort that out. In fact, you could just shift, double click around there, flatten the whole thing out. So at least you know that's good. Okay, that fixed it. Let's do reduce now. Reduce by... Okay, I'm going to try reducing it by 70%. No, too much. Reduce it by 60% then. 50. Yeah, okay. I'm going to just leave it at 54 now. And I can see I don't need you, or you. I might just give you shift, right click, delete edge. Excellent. Okay, can I do mesh display, soften harden edges? That's better. And I can now go through and use my select hard edge script and bevel. And it's bevelable because remesh is awesome. And I'm happy with that bevel of 0.2. Okay. I think that's the main bits of geometry, except for this one. This is quite a major one. Okay, so will it bevel? Not at all. I see why. So there's some kind of weird face here that's got more than 4 sides, and annoyingly it's a 3D object. I'm just going to double click around to separate it out. Whoa. So this face here shouldn't exist in the way that it does here. Okay, this is not a happy geometry in the slightest. For something so simple, it's really messed up. So I'm going to go to face mode, and I'm just going to select the faces that I can see with my eyes around the edge here that spark joy. These spark joy, these don't. Delete. Now, I've just controlled what I can work with here. I don't want you as well. So this should now, you can even see where these faces weren't even connected properly. So this must have been created in some horrific way. Wow, this is not even connected at all. So let's just give this a merge. So edit mesh merge. Cool. And then let's get bridging. So I should just be able to simply bridge that to that and this to that. And everything's good in the hood without any need to retopologize. That should be bevelable, but it isn't. Okay, undo. I'm going to do delete history, freeze transformations. So if it doesn't bevel still on such a simple thing, you can even just do it one by one and then undo, and it will just show you which edges can be beveled. So everything can be beveled, but yet nothing can be beveled. Okay, give me a second here. I'm just going to go ahead and manually select the edges I want to bevel then, which is annoyingly, it is actually all of them, except maybe for these two. All right, let's go ahead and bevel that. Didn't like it. Okay, so let's just overdrive this then. If in doubt, you can overdrive your bevel to, let's say, 1 or 10. Encountered a non-manifold vertex. Okay, so if I undo the bevel command, I'll show you what that is. There's something really freaky. This is a really badly modeled piece of geometry. So if I go to mesh, clean up, options box, I want it to select any faces that are non-manifold. And I'm going to hit clean up. Okay, so literally every edge is non-manifold. So non-manifold geometry is basically this. And it's something that students create all the time, and I don't know how they do it. I'm going to zoom in on that. Okay, great. So where you've got two faces should connect with one edge, but then there's another face trying to join in on them as well. Or they join in at two vertices, or you've got two normals that face one way or the other. You usually see these with black faces on your geometry coming through, so just watch out for that. Okay, I don't know where the manifold geometry is, in which case it didn't select these two faces earlier. So what I'm going to do is do mesh, extract. Instead of trying to fix it, it's just too time consuming to fix it. So I'm just going to select the geometry that I just made, which is the bridged edges like this. And if I go to edge mode, double click my way around, hit extrude, extrude these down, resize them out, and I'll just do it myself from scratch like this. And then this front vertex, I can even hold down V for vertex. So move first, W for move. If I hold down V for vertex, I can actually snap it to the other geometry that the student had. Oh, I'm missing a bit of detail going along there. So to do that, if I turn on symmetry, this hopefully will work. Symmetry X, and get a point from there. And yeah, good, it's working. I'm just going to kind of roughly do it right. Turn symmetry off now. Oh, I didn't hit enter. And then hit enter once you've done that. Then you can turn symmetry off. And I can go to vertex mode and do V, snap to there, V, snap to there. Oh, I can see I need another edge loop. I'm bugging a new one to there, hit enter. And snap that there. And snap that there. Super. All right, so I'm going to delete the old one. Cool. So it looks like we might not have been recording for a short while there, but I'm just I'm just rebuilding this piece of geometry here because it was just too messed up. Okay, so I'm just going to try another trick. If I can just set this one to a reference, will that allow me to snap? Okay, so if it's a reference layer, it allows you to snap to it, which is good. So I guess I could just do an assign new material real quick, throw on a new Lambert, and just put the transparency up. There you go, and then set that back to a reference layer. That way that's kind of x-rayed, and I can then do V for vertex and snap to the old geometry, which was a cool shape, but didn't work. Okay, so I think I've done enough justice to that. Instead of booting these guys in, I am just going to throw in some edge loops by holding control and throwing in some loops for these little recesses in that, and extrude those in. Oops, shift. Good. All right, I think that is now ready to be 3Dified. Go face mode, double click, hit extrude with the blue arrow, find the blue arrow, and just pull the blue arrow the way it's facing, and you should get some good edge. Whoops. I don't know if that works. I can bring that out to about there. Good. Let's remove the old geometry and pop that back over where it came from, and then make sure that we can give it a bevel, which we can, and that's perfectly beveled. If I just make sure I give the student's work justice as I bring that in there. Okay, I've forgotten a piece of geometry, so I'm going to pop that back in there. And then it looks like he's got a bit around here that's extruding out. Blue arrow down to about there. Select the 3 face on the front and do extrude. Blue arrow Okay, actually, I'd say that it's actually extruded front by doing W instead. That's better. And I think that's done now. Give that a bevel, maybe a bit bigger than that. Perfect. And then we can duplicate this, Control D, W for move, put it over there. Let's freeze transformations, R for resize, hold down J, flip it the other way around, put it back over to where it came from. And that's significantly better. I'd also recommend the front's just too flat in there. So the final step is just I'm going to paste some geometry in to there that I've modeled earlier. So I've got another Maya open in here. So I'm going to get geometry from Maya 2020, which is what this version is. And to get this out of here and into the older one, all you got to do is select the geometry that you prefer from this one. Hit, I'm just going to hit combine. You can separate it later. Do center pivot. And delete history and freeze transformations. What have we got here? Okay, great. That's all that. Okay, great. And then we're going to do file, export selection. I'm going to call this one APC front. And then do cool and hit export selection. Go back to this version of Maya and then do file, import selection. Sorry, file, import. MPC front cool, hit import. Okay, that's in there. It comes into the exact same place, which is handy. I'm going to delete the old center bit, pop this back in, make sure it's as middle as I can get. Wait, what? Oh, didn't want to delete that one. I think I want to delete that one. There we go. Put this one, little guy back in there. Okay, great. Now, as the front, it's all really sort of just flat and boring. So if I just select this geometry and just give it a bit of some kind of edge to it. So I'm going to say anything above here is going to be just a little bit further forward, and everything below here is going to be rotated in like that. Okay, and let's select this. And then I've got this geometry here. All it. Okay, so I need to then sort of add an edge loop, but I can't throw an edge loop into this geometry because it's been modeled in a freakish way, where if I try and put an edge loop through it, it kind of gets stuck. So I could probably just solve this by just slinging it in there and then manually connecting it from there to there and from there to there. Screw it. Join that one up. All right, happy days. I should be able to now just simply go to double click around there, flatten that out with resize, move it down a bit, give a bit of breathing room. Okay, great. And then I'm going to do vertex mode, hit 4, hit 5, and then drag that in, and it should just give it a little bit more cool, like a bit more of a cool feel to it. Okay, looks like I need to move these vertices down a bit as well. 4, 5, bring that forward a bit and bring that forward a bit. I guess that should kind of be going up there as well. So if I select from that face there through to that face there, bring them up, looking good. These little grills are kind of boring. I'm going to recede them in a bit like that, I guess. and get this loop of faces like that. Bring them out a little bit. Give this separation. Give this a beveling. That's a beveling. And then here, I like these little grill bits the students put in here. They're so cool. They deserve to be on the front of the vehicle as well. So I'm going to select all these guys. Hold right. I'm going to my rotation gimbal's gone weird. I'm going to I'm just going to set it to weld instead, and I'm going to hold down J to rotate these by exactly 90 degrees. And then again, I need to set this rotation gimbal to weld as well, and sling that back in here. Okay, great. I'm going to now do a combine on these. Go to vertex, select the vertices on the left. Instead of stretching them, which will look really ugly, I'm going to just move the vertices so I keep the sweet detail there. That looks good. I'm going to then just do Control D, just add a couple more down at the bottom. I'm going to go to separate, delete the ones I don't need anymore. And then these guys, I'm just going to bring the vertices on this one in. I really should have symmetry on for this, but I'm just going to do it by eye. Put that there and put that there. Okay, great. That just looks a little bit more in fact, I can make it even more menacing. Check this out. If I just go and hit combine on these, spacebar to my front view. If you can't see the front view, spacebar, my back view. There we go. And if I do, I'm going to hold down nothing and just drag a line exactly through the middle of. If you hold shift on the keyboard, it does a perfectly straight line. It looks like it's a little bit to the right. I'm just going to go to vertex, drag select through here. Let's try and get it centered as I can. Good. Let's try that a couple more times. So let's see if symmetry works with this tool. If I go to symmetry object or weld, so object X, not at all. Symmetry off. All right. I'll do it by eye. I'll hold shift. I'm just going to put one in there. And hang on. So put one in there, put one in there. Delete the other half so I can mirror it later. Go to vertex mode, and I might just get these guys. Yeah, that's it. Sweeping down a little bit there. Maybe just a little bit more like that. And then give it a mirror. So that's mesh, mirror, options box, X, plus, minus actually on this one, and hit mirror. Oakley dokley. I'll fix that myself then. Oh, I see. I forgot a bit at the back. So let's try that again. Go into there. Go into here. I'm never going to see whatever the hell that is. Okay, great. Let's do that again. And isolate, and isolate, and isolate, and isolate. And do mesh, mirror, options box, X, minus, mirror, beautiful, perfection. And then do delete history on that so it doesn't corrupt everything. I can probably do shift right click delete edge just on that one so I can bridge this up. There seems to be a glitch there. Perfect. Nice. Yeah, so that just looks a little bit more menacing like this. You could even just go into this geometry here and middle click to put an edge in the middle, and then just put in a couple more edges like that, and you can just do this so that this geometry kind of conforms along with that. I'll just do the same to this thing here. Free size, push these lads apart. This one, where is it? Go to vertex mode, select whatever vertices are hidden in there, in there, in there, bring them down. And bring these down. Oops, resize that to prevent the shortened angle, and then resize those further apart. Yeah, smashing. All right, so the front of the vehicle now looks significantly better using the geometry we already had. I'd probably have these, whatever they are, maybe just angled forward or lurching forward a bit, like that, like as if there's some kind of suspension thing. Whatever they are, they need beveling. If anyone's still watching the video at this point in time, I'll be really impressed. Leave a comment below. Just say the word Gibbon or something like that. I just want to see if anyone actually got this far into the video. I'll be really impressed. I'll subscribe to you if you do. I'm just joking. Not joking though. And then put that in there. Give that a thing. Smashing. Good. We can do Control D. Double if you move. Put these up there. Rotate these out. Oh my life. To about there. Put that around about there. Let's double click on this face. I want even though it's combined, I can resize individual objects. That one down to about there, and this one resize down to about there. Cool. That's already looking better. Oh yeah, this edge here, it just looks a little bit sort of bendy. So if that's ever happening, just double click your way along, give it a bevel. I don't think it's a bevel. Oh, they're good. So that's happy geometry. I actually don't like this bent bit there. If I just do bevel on these guys, so avoid squares and cubes where at all possible. You're not allowed to have them. So I'm just going to do these and actually double bevel them. So it looks like they are intentionally designed that way. And if I just do separate. Control D, center pivot, and pop that out there. I have no idea what these are, some kind of suspension thing, but I think that looks maybe a bit better. It's a bit cubey. Not anymore, there you go, just avoid cubes. That's the key. Combine these two, and maybe I'll just do something like this. Okay, and then I think that's all I've got time for. So pop that there, that's better. Great, and so my student should be able to go along and bevel everything else. Now, I think I've done the most difficult bits. He can duplicate the things that I've repaired and put them around. That was a long video, but hopefully it helps someone on planet Earth just to see how someone that kind of knows quite a lot of the interface in Maya just goes through and fixes up geometry that is very often beyond repair, and you can actually bring it all back. Okay, last one guys, see you later.